Testing. Hey.
And we're in business.
I'd like to call this meeting to order. Dr. Westlake, would you lead us in flag salute?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sunshine Law Statement. All requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act have been met for this meeting of the Board of Education of the Borough of Oradell. Notice of this meeting was filed with the record in Town News and all persons requesting such notice. Mrs. Levy, would you read the mission statement?
The Oradell Public School is dedicated to the ongoing pursuit of educational excellence through comprehensive, innovative curriculum and instruction. The district is committed to providing opportunities for social, emotional, and academic discovery to foster curiosity, courage, and character. Our goal is to prepare our students to become lifelong learners who are self-directed, resilient, productive, and responsible citizens.
Thank you. Roll call.
Here.
Here. Here.
Mrs. Shapiro? Here. Mrs. Walker? Mr. Walsh?
Here.
Dr. Westlake? Mr. Darian?
Here.
Mrs. Welch?
Here, open to the public for agenda items only.
Megan Bozius, President, Oradell Administrators Association. And I have two concerns and comments about A1. Number one, I'm not sure why we're referencing Park when Park hasn't been administered since 2018. The appropriate assessment is the New Jersey Student Learning Assessment. And number two has to do with the inclusion of implementation of a sixth grade SEL curriculum. You may have heard that our sixth grade has a lot on their plate this year. They have an entirely new format to instruction, 5 55-minute periods. I absolutely agree that SEL needs to be part of our sixth graders' education, but to say that we are going to implement a sixth grade curriculum the same year we are completely transforming takes on too much. If you change the word curriculum to activities, I absolutely have no problem leading the charge in that area. But a curriculum means something very specific. It means we're writing everything down. It means we're aligning it with the CASEL components. That's too much for this year. And if you choose that that's what's really important to you as a board, then I need you to also reflect about what comes off the plate. Is it the 12 parent academies that we have planned this year? Is it the differentiation of math instruction? We can't do everything. And by just tweaking that one piece of language, making this a 2-year goal, turning the activities from this year into implementing a curriculum, which will be probably district grown the next year, more aligned to a middle school advisory period, I think it's a much more honest goal, and it's more about where we are as a school and as a district right now. That's all.
Thank you.
What was wrong with A1?
It's just not supposed to say Park. We were going to mention it later. Yeah, it's supposed. We don't have Park anymore.
Okay.
Anyone else? All right. All right. Moving forward, I was going to mention the goals anyway in my report. I think the one thing we need to add to number one is the actual percentages we agreed to,
Yes.
which was, I believe, English language arts at 90% and 80% for math. Does anybody, I'm just bringing up Matt Lee's thing. So increase the number of students who moved, okay. So this is the wrong goal, actually.
Yeah.
So there's it's still off.
Do you want me to just
Okay, so the
correct it?
Yeah, let's just pull them for today, but I guess it's something we need to talk about, what Ms. Bozios just said about, because our goal was to implement a sixth grade SEL curriculum. So does anybody have any comments on that?
Nobody at the meeting said that it was too much. And we've had this goal for a couple of years already. Different words, different titles. But
Ms. Levy?
I don't know, when we were talking, I was just going back to my notes from that day. We were discussing that the open circle was K through 5, and that we wanted to include the 6th grade. I also, and just in my opinion, is if we're going to take out curriculum and add in activities, or if we're going to make it a 2-year goal or something, I think we should specify exactly what we hope to achieve in year 1 and then in year 2, but understanding we also don't want to burden the students any more than they already are.
So I was not at the, oh my God.
Retreat.
Retreat. That's the word. I was not in attendance. I was out of the country when the goals were set. I did attend the open circle meeting where, we knew that it was a K through 5. Nothing came up about 6th grade. I personally have no problem turning the goal into activity. I firsthand have seen what's happening with the 6th grade, and one thing they did was the team building day instead of field day, and field day will happen later on. And I was able to stop by that day, and it was exquisite. And I think, me personally, a lot better than field day, what I observed. The kids, and that has to fill some kind of piece of the social emotional learning, the way the kids were connecting with each other. There were students who have been in school together for 7 years, they didn't know each other's names. They were working cooperatively. I know that was a ton of work to put together. They're going to have more of those activities during the course of the year from time to time. I think it's, one of the teachers said to me, I wish we did this years ago. And would be nice to have a 6th grade SEL curriculum ready to go, but we don't have it ready to unroll, and I'm okay with being a little bit patient. And also, I've seen what's happening with turning the 6th grade into this, like, what I call a mini middle school model. I don't know if there's whatever, with the changing of the classes and teachers specializing. And when I came to, I said, this isn't really fair. When I came to back to school night, I was blown away. This was like the OPS I had always dreamed of when I listened to Mrs. Hawley, and then each teacher one by one explaining what they're going to do, why they're going to do it. And I know from having a previous child through the system, like, this is exactly what we should be doing to get them ready for middle school. Everywhere else, 6th grade is middle school. So I believe the principal when she says they have a lot going on. And I'm okay with activity and moving towards curriculum.
What does that mean, moving towards curriculum?
Whatever
When?
it is.
Well, when
what
do
does
you-
the rest of the
All right.
Mr. Griffin?
So I would like to echo what Nancy was saying right then. I very much think the work that the administrators are doing is impressive. I also think as a board we should take the advice from our principals very seriously. From my perspective, being at the retreat, definitely disappointed that we had not implemented SEL all the way through 6th grade. For 2 years prior, we had said we wanted to do that, and it had sat there. And so I think as a board, once we realized that it was only through 5th grade, it was very much a point of, we have to do this now. But situations change, and the environment is not one that likely can get done without making other adjustments. I think as a board, we should trust our administrators, change it to activities, and then ask the administrators to tell us how soon they could have a full curriculum in place and adjust the goals based on that.
Do you want to know that before we vote on the goal?
I would recommend, I mean, the other goal,
We're not going to vote on any goals tonight, but before they come on the next agenda, do you want to know the details?
I would like their recommendation before.
Okay. Mr. Darian?
Yes, I'd like to comment. For many years, it's been a board focus to improve the climate in the school. Call it what you want, but climate is important, and social emotional learning is important, and we've been stressing for many, many years how we want this implemented. Now, while from what I understand, the Open Circle program is a very good program, and we're making headways, and I don't want to distract from any of that, and I'm very happy with what we're doing through K through 5. It was a surprise to us at the retreat that it did not include 6th grade. We assumed it was going to be school-wide. So the problem is we can't just say, well, we'll implement 6th grade later, because our goal initially for several years was to improve the entire school climate, and to exclude one grade level within the goal for this year, I think, was incorrect. So we were very, I don't know what's the best word to describe it. We were assertive that something had to be done. And so we discussed that we would have to implement something in the 6th grade. And curriculum, I understand, is a loaded word. And I do understand that we have other changes now in the curriculum in 6th grade, which I'm 100% for. And you can't do everything all at once, and I get that. But I'm just not willing to release my emphasis on this. I think it's very important. And, you know, while we may step a little back on this, I don't want to see a full step. So, you know, I'm willing to consider, you know, activities as an interim, but I would definitely like to see this something implemented for 6th grade next year. So that would require this year doing prep work for. You know, I understand we're already, you know, almost halfway through this year, and so it's going to be difficult to get something implemented at the curriculum level at this point in time, but to reemphasize, this is important, and 6th grade is not to be excluded or minimized or significantly delayed. So I think that's all I have to say.
Mr. Darian, I also, one way that we could potentially change the wording is to implement expanded 6th grade SEL activities with measurable success metrics. You know, like that way we can maybe still hold true to the idea of what a curriculum might be, but the other full program does have measures in there of success. And if we were going to just add activities, it might be interesting to have them be measurable, where there'd be outputs that we could learn as a board.
Yeah, so I guess when we were coming up with these goals, if we think about it in a realistic setting, it took several, to find a curriculum that's appropriate for the 6th grade, and to implement it was to begin, or to start. We had a lot of in-depth discussions as to what the wording was and why we were choosing implement versus other words that were done. I think that, I think realistically, to find a program similar to Open Circle or something to that extent for just the 6th grade, to get think about the way they came up with the Open Circle. There was a committee of all the stakeholders. They reviewed it. They brought certain different programs, and then they came up with it. It was not an easy process. So I'm not sure what people necessarily thought, and perhaps we should have been more specific in terms of a curriculum, because I don't know how, given the time period, they wouldn't have started the program within the school year. This was we were first adopting them. If it happened, it would have happened today. Realistically, by June, we wouldn't have had a whole curriculum and started it for the full year. So taking that into consideration, and also taking under advisement what our administration is saying, I think that we could perhaps work with the administration to define like Mr. Griffin said, measurable goals and activities and what we anticipate, and then setting a timeline for implementation of, or actually picking a curriculum for sixth grade and moving forward. But I do think the idea of having measurable goals and having metrics that we can look back on by the end of the year, whether it be 4 or 5 activities or whatever we want it to be moving forward.
What's your opinion for then, not this year's sixth grade class, which is do activities, for the fifth grade class coming out of Circle this year, moving into sixth grade next year? Do you expect to see a program in place?
Well, yeah, it's my understanding that, and I could be wrong on this, that the Open Circle program is the mechanism by which problem solving happens and things come up and everybody's using the same language and the same for certain programs. So it just seems like natural that even though there's not a Open Circle curriculum for fifth grade, they still would be using the Open Circle method as they move forward to sixth grade.
Can we bring Ms. Bozios up to ask her a question? Is that okay? Absolutely. Ms. Bozios, you want to come on up? So could you explain to us, if we agree to activities this year, what is your plan then for sixth grade next year? We're going to keep doing activities next year while you guys research something, or? So first of all. Yeah, turn it on.
First of all, Mrs. Levy is right. I am training the sixth grade in Open Circle. The curriculum, the binder, doesn't come in a sixth grade, but all of our staff members are being trained in January that aren't classroom teachers. I do need the sixth grade teachers to know the same language and the same routines and the same problem-solving steps, because that is, I want to say, the curriculum of Oradell Public School. It's the foundation that the community needs to be built on. So yes, you're right that the sixth grade is going to continue with that, but then we need to think about the fact that what we've been saying and why we changed sixth grade is because sixth graders are different. They are middle school students. What do middle schools do? The majority of middle schools don't have 2 40-minute blocks a week to do Open Circle unless you'd like to take that out of math instruction. That's not how middle schools are set up. The majority of middle school programs use what's called an advisory period. They schedule it in once a month, once every other month, and they do these type of activities like what was on Team Building Day, like reading the reason we did Team Building Day was I wanted to create those peer advisory teams. So the group of 12 students that worked on that day, they're going to meet again during this year. They are going to do activities. If you decide as a board that you want to say, this year you're going to do 7 of those activities, that's fine. I mean, that's a fine metric. I don't mind then this summer documenting that and creating the curriculum. But there's not a curriculum out there that's going to meet our needs. There's no box program. Unless you're saying, yeah, I don't want you to teach writing once a week because I want you to do SEL. There's only 2 ways most people accomplish SEL in a middle school. They weave it through all of their curriculum, which would mean going into our language arts curriculum and our social studies curriculum and weaving in SEL more, or they implement an advisory period. That is my goal. That's where I'd like to see us. And because of, Mrs. Shapiro is right, the teachers loved that day. They've said, can we do this again? It was so helpful. So yes, if you say yes to activities this year, we document the curriculum this summer, we implement that curriculum next year. I just don't feel right saying we're implementing a curriculum, because to me that means something's documented right now that we're putting in place.
So 2 questions. 1, do we have to wait till January to do the sixth grade teachers? And 2, what does Riverdale do in the middle school?
Do you want to? I can tell you that River Edge has chosen to do Dillon's Wings of Change. However, that only involves 20 of their sixth graders.
Is there a reason we have to wait till January to train the sixth grade teachers?
Remember, one of the reasons we chose Open Circle was because the high level of professional development, they're coming in January.
Okay.
So I can't, in 2 years, when we finish our training with the program, we can train whenever we want because we will have our 2 trainers on staff and we will be self-sustaining. But until that point, we're at the mercy of Open Circle and they can come in January.
So is there a way that we could reword the goal to not be just so open-ended to say activities, because that can mean 1, that can mean anything. Is there something you could give the superintendent, maybe that he could email us, that would make us feel a little bit
So
better
in essence,
that
what you're-
something's being done.
You want to add a quantitative measure to social
I'm not
emotional
even saying
learning.
it has to be that.
Absolutely.
Me personally, but.
Yeah, I'm fine.
If people want that, that's fine, you can add that, but like maybe just not say activities,
Okay.
because, go ahead, what were you going to say?
It can be X number of peer advisory periods during the year, and I would even, if you would like to add I will even add a June presentation with students about what they've gotten from this. Because when we talk about assessment, that's really hard with social emotional learning. So I kind of think that you need a qualitative measure more than a quantitative measure on it.
So can you write something up?
Of
I
course.
guess.
I'll go do it.
Mrs. Levy?
Can I ask you one other question? With the open circle, and you said they can't come again until January, or is it like that's part of our deal with them if we paid more or something?
No, they're limited, two things. They're limited to the number of days that they come because they do most of their trainings at Wellesley. It's pretty expensive for us to send large groups of staff to Wellesley. It's also operationally not possible for me to train 20 people during a school day. I need January's PD day, which luckily what happened was they're going to do the third day of training for the classroom teachers, and they're going to do the other training. They're bringing another trainer with them to do all the non-classroom teachers.
Any other questions before Ms. Bozios sits down?
I was just going to say, it would be nice if there was one way, and maybe there's not, to not necessarily just tell us the number of things that happen, but a way of measuring the effectiveness. Do you think that that is impossible with SEL, or impossible because we're building a system that we don't know?
I think it comes down to transference. So,
Okay.
and when we talk about school climate, the fact is, overall, this is a very positive school climate. So when you're talking about growth measures, what am I going to say? We're going to see less harassment, intimidation, and bullying investigations. We had 2 all last year. That it doesn't, that's what big districts do. They say we had 150 HIB investigations, so we don't have that. So we said for Open Circle, in the first year of the program, we were just going to do the language and the routines. Did students have that? So I guess we could have our 6th graders do some kind of self-assessment of how they've grown in terms of these different CASEL competencies.
I'm wondering, like obviously from the board's perspective, this has been something that felt extremely important. From your perspective, why do you think we're doing this in the first place?
Because you can't learn if you're not safe. And the truth is, if you ask me what I am proudest of my accomplishments at Oradell Public School, it is improving the culture and climate in the building, especially with our students.
So is
Okay,
it a need? Is there a need right now?
I think there's always a need because our students are constantly facing new challenges. If you attended my HIB presentation, that's all I talked about was the type of thinking our kids need to go through. So I do think there's a need, and I think we have a responsibility. I always say our biggest responsibility, sending students to Riverdale, is for them to be advocates for themselves. That's an important part of a 6th grade SEL program, to develop the trust that you have somebody next to you and that ability to advocate. So I think it's very hard to quantify that, though.
Can I? Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
I was just going to say, I would love, I don't know how you quantify it either, because again, having been through this, second rodeo now, how can you quantify? My kid came home with a lot fewer hurt feelings and didn't get excluded and purposely got, all of these things, those things that happen at lunch. I can't, all of the 6th grade pain and suffering on top of all of the hormones and issues that they're facing. So, I think it would be nice to hear from them. I know that, like I said, what I saw on the team building day was outstanding. They were all talking to each other, collaborating. They don't know each other. In the rest of they go into their corners, right? Mm-hmm. And here, there was a friendly face, even if it was a new face for them. So.
And that's what students said at the end of that day. So
Right.
we shared a
Oh, they
video
did,
with
they did.
students at the end of the day. There's only a clip of that video on our social media sites because it was over a minute long. But that's what a student said. She said, before this day, I thought I didn't like so-and-so. But after I worked with her today, I realized I didn't know her.
Yeah.
And now I realize she's really cool, and now I have another friend.
Right, and it's really easy to exclude somebody and to ice somebody out when you feel like you don't know that person. I've lived in girl world for too many years.
And the problem with trying to
And-
quantify that is
Yeah.
that I could make an assessment with a whole bunch of scenarios, and every one of our students is going to answer it correctly because they know the right thing
The right-
to do. It's transferring and applying that right thing. So if you want a quantitative measure, then my best suggestion would be to, yes, we can identify the advisory periods and the CASEL things that we might address in them, and we can do a self-assessment at the end to have the students just reflect on where they feel they've grown in that area.
And maybe
I have-
ask the teachers. I bet will have opinions
Yes.
after at the end, too.
And the fact is, they've taken this SEL perspective to their goal-setting conferences. I don't know how many, if you have a parent have gotten a survey from their classroom teacher yet, but one of the things they're asking parents is, what's your social emotional learning goal for students? And I know that is part of the 6th grade conference because they do recognize how important that is.
So one thing I'd like to just say is, our goal is in relations to the climate in the school. Within climate, concentric circles is social emotional learning, and within that is open circle. I mean, so open circle is part of SEL, which is part of climate. So what I wanted to say is that, maybe you might want to step out of that. We're not in the, obviously, and I just drew a blank, open circle, and we're struggling with social emotional learning for 6th grade to come up with a curriculum. So you may want to step outside of that and think about climate and maybe putting together either activities or some sort of instruction that will prepare them for 7th and 8th grade so that it's within the goal and spirit of the goal, but it's not specific that we have to try to mirror a 6th grade curriculum with K through 5.
We could never do that.
Okay.
Well, the only thing it will have in common with the Open Circle curriculum is that Open Circle is built on CASEL's competencies of social emotional learning, and any good SEL program would do the same thing. But the reason I'm saying that we need to take our time is because I absolutely agree that our 6th graders are different, and we need to give them the skills and the tools to be successful in 7th grade. And I want to make sure that whatever I put in place, I don't smack down so you can say, check, goal accomplished, that I'm proud of it and this board can be proud of it. So that's why I'm asking. We'll implement some things this year. We'll document that. I'll continue to write about it whenever you'd like me to write about it. And then this summer, we'll thoroughly document it, and you can approve it as a curriculum if you'd like.
Any other questions? All right, thank you. So I guess maybe you could email us the new wording before the next meeting. Superintendent's report.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to let the board know that a number of major events have already taken place in the past month, including a highly successful Parent Academy program on our Foundations program that I want to commend our administrative team for doing such a great job with that. We had very excellent feedback. We also conducted our 2 back-to-school night sessions, which were also very well received, and I got a lot of positive feedback from parents about what they were hearing in classrooms. Coming up in October, our Special Services Department is partnering with the CPAC group in order to do a Special Services Expo. That'll be on October 2nd, and I'm very excited to plan to be there to hear about what's available to our students in terms of related services. Also in October, we're going to be celebrating our Week of Respect from October 7th through October 11th. So we'll look forward to being able to share a little bit about that with you in the future. And then we are planning to do the state assessment presentation at the second meeting in October, which is when we're hoping that we're going to have the last pieces of available data. And then finally, I also wanted to just point out to board members under administrative items that we also are having, we have a resolution there for approval of our annual mentoring plan. The district has a good mentoring program, and this year, currently, we only have one provisional teacher who's being mentored, but we've already done the training for that person's mentor, and they're off and running. So that's all that I have for tonight.
Thank you. Business Administrator's report.
I don't have anything other than to say this is my last meeting here.
What?
And it's been a real pleasure,
It is? Oh, so today's September
especially
25th.
to
That's
sit
right.
next to Doc,
But you're going to be around if we need your help, right?
of course. I'm
I
a
have
phone
my
call
cell
away in an hour and a half drive.
Then and I will tell you that we really appreciate you stepping in for us, and any board member that has ever mentioned you to me has said how much they love you and how great you are, so we do appreciate it, and you'll be hearing from us after October 7th, trust me. Minutes review September 12th. Any comments, please email the business administrator. We have approval of July 31st and August 7th. Do I have a motion?
I move that we approve the meeting of July 31st and August 7th.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Catherine. Any questions? Call the question.
Mr. Griffin?
Yes.
Mrs. Levitt?
Yes.
Mrs. Norrie?
Yes.
Mrs. Shapiro?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Dr. Westlake? Yes. Mr. Darian?
Yes.
Mrs. Watson?
Yes. Do you want to vote on the ones that you were not at?
Oh,
Did you want to vote on the one that you were not at?
Hold on.
You can, it's
Which
fine.
one? I'm sorry.
Our board retreat, no, not you.
oh, I forgot. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
On August 7th, you were not here.
Yeah, no, then I will.
You
I will
can, you
abstain.
can, I
No,
just
no,
wanna make
no.
sure.
I would prefer to abstain on those. Thank you.
So you're abstaining on?
Both. I was
Okay.
out both for
Mr.
both.
Darian, what are you doing? You were not here August 7th, I do not believe. I
Oh,
think
on
you were
the
at the beach.
minutes, yeah, I abstained for that.
So you're abstaining from both, or just one?
Just the August.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Can I ask a
yes.
question? As far as the business administrator, is he have a new email and everything set up?
I believe so,
Okay,
yes.
just want to double check. Thank you.
He was actually at our finance meeting tonight. Committee reports under administrative. Mr. Darian, would you take that? So do we make the motion for both, Joanette, and then make the motion to table one? Or can we just pull one?
Motion to table A1.
First?
Yeah.
Motion to approve A2.
Okay, so you want to make those two? Do
Yes. I'd like to make a motion to table item A1.
you have a second?
Second.
Mrs. Norian, any questions? Call the question.
If you table it, does it come back in the same form, or
It just comes back.
it just comes back so we can still do the edits? Okay, sorry, thank you.
Call the question?
Mr. Griffin?
Yes.
Mrs. Levitt?
Yes.
Mrs. Norrie?
Yes.
Mrs. Shapiro?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Dr. Westlake? Mr. Darian?
Yes.
Mrs. Watson?
Yes, you want to take
Yes.
A2?
And I'd like to introduce item A2, now amended as A1.
I'll second it.
Any questions? Call the question?
Mr. Griffin?
Yes.
Mrs. Levitt?
Yes.
Mrs. Norrie?
Yes.
Mrs. Shapiro?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Dr. Westlake? Mr. Darian?
Yes.
Mrs. Watson?
Yes, buildings and grounds, Mr. Darian?
Yes. So before I introduce a motion for items B1, I want to give an update of our building and grounds meeting we had last week. I think it was Friday. I don't know if you remember, Thursday or Friday, after our board meeting, we had a buildings and ground meeting. We discussed the Last board meeting, we had Perrette Somjan Associates here discuss their proposal for additional work. We met at the committee level to discuss that proposal. In addition, we had some details on cost estimates and for the additional work outside of the architectural fees. And while we went through each item, we wanted to then reach back out to the architect for possible revisions. So we had put a counter proposal recommendation to the architect. And the architect had since gotten back to us, and he's basically not interested. He's not interested in adjusting his fee, and he's not interested in adjusting any of the cost estimates. So where that leaves us is we're probably just going to do the additional work, which is the hallway outside of the existing project. So that's where we stand at the subcommittee level. If you want further details, I can, talk to me after the meeting. So with that, I'd like to introduce items B1.
A second.
Second by Mr. Walsh. Any questions?
Questions
Mr.
on
Griffin?
that? Yes. Is that expenditure in here?
It's under finance.
It's under finance, so there
Yeah.
wouldn't be a question here, I don't think.
No.
Okay.
I just have a comment on, maybe we can watch out for this in the spring. Riverdale Junior Cheer, if you notice, they take their pictures on our front lawn. They fill out a building use form, and they pay us $15. Every spring, baseball shows up, kills our lawn, and never fills out building use, so we need to reach out to them every year. So maybe someone could reach out to them. Any other questions? Call the question.
Yes.
Mrs. Levitt?
Yes.
Mrs. Norrie?
Yes.
Mrs. Shapiro?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Dr. Wesley? Mr. Darian?
Yes.
Mrs. Rossi?
Yes, curriculum, Mrs. Norian?
Yes. I'd like to present C1, approval of field trips.
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Walsh. Any questions?
I do have
Mrs.
a
Norian?
question, just a little question. I just think it's a little unusual. I know that SHARP does entail curriculum, but should this actually be included under curriculum and instruction, or should it be under finance? Because
I
it
think the
is-
field trips go under
Okay. They
curriculum all the
just,
time.
decided,
Just because of
yeah.
the money, yeah.
Okay. I understand that, but.
Keyword
but
supposed to.
Because it's only finance that's listed here, that's where my question comes. Okay?
Call the question.
Mr. Griffin?
Yes.
Mrs. Levitt?
Yes.
Mrs. Norrie?
Yes.
Mrs. Shapiro?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Dr. Wesley? Mr. Darian?
Yes.
Mrs. Rossi?
Yes, finance, Mrs. Shapiro?
Could you remind me, do I propose all of them? Are we tabling? Propose all first? And then
You can-
discuss?
I think she has to introduce them first.
I would like to introduce items D1 through D10 for approval.
Do I have a second? Oh, second by Dr. Westlake. Now, wait, how do we pull, how are we going to do
And
this again?
then
I'd like to make a motion to pull, I think it was 7 and 8.
D7.
Well, wait, you know what, before we pull, let's have some discussion, because we may be pulling more than those two.
Right,
So before
okay.
we pull anything, let's talk. So Dr. Westlake seconded?
Yeah.
Okay, any discussion on any of these before we start tabling or pulling?
I still would like to, bring up the discussion on D7 specifically. The architects from the last meeting that were here had mentioned specifically that they had done work without getting our approval for certain levels of work, and yet they were charging us for it post that.
Correct.
I feel like that's still a problem.
We're
and
pulling
I
those two.
don't-
Those two are being pulled.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. You know, we had discussed it, and we felt at the subcommittee level that when you looked at his proposal, half the work was covering plans that he had already created that did not meet our objective. The other 10% was revising plans to meet our objective, now that we've discussed them several times. And then 40% was roughly for ongoing management of work to be done with the additional scope of work. So we thought that, well, you know, at least we should look at maybe paying half. And there was no entertaining of that at all. It was $9,600 or nothing. So here we are.
So, I'm sorry. So where does that leave us in terms of, it's 9,600 or nothing? In other words, we pay for the services or we don't? Or
That's correct.
are they going to? Okay,
The architect withdrew the proposal.
okay. But there's still work doing the other,
Yes.
okay.
He's still under contract to do the
For the
existing work.
contract,
Yeah,
right.
This is for the, just to be clear.
It's for
This is
the
for additional
expanded,
scope of work.
right.
Yeah.
What about the long-range facilities plan? Are they doing that, or are they pulled for that? You withdrew that also? I have a question on, I should have asked this earlier. D3, I don't remember seeing the treasurer's report.
Yes, we need to pull D3 as well.
And do we have the transfer report, D4, or no? So can we just, can we,
D3 is not available.
okay. Should we pull D4 until we can get it just emailed to us, or?
Yeah.
Okay, so we need a motion to table or,
D3 and D4 should be tabled.
and D7 and D8. So you want to do those? So do we have to, how do we vote? We have to take 3 separate votes?
Yeah.
Is that true?
The table and all.
Okay, let's do a motion first for the tabling of D3 and D4. You want to do that? Go ahead.
Now Nancy should.
Oh, sorry, Mrs. Shapiro, that's you. Sorry. Oh, yeah.
It's been throwing us off all night.
For a few days now. So we're going to table, you're going to table D3 and D4 first.
Oh, sorry, okay, so like to table items D3 and D4, and we
Yeah.
are pulling items.
No, just-
No,
Just
that's
that.
it?
And do we have a second for that? A second, Dr. Wesley, call the question.
Yes.
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 Mr. Wolf,
Yes.
Dr. Wesley, Mr. Darian,
Yes.
Mrs. Watson.
Yes, now we need to pull D7 and D8.
I would like
No,
to.
Mrs., you want to do that? Or
Yeah.
is the chair going to do that? Let the chair do
It's
it.
up to the chair.
You want to pull D7 and D8?
Yes, like to pull items D7 and
The
D8.
person who made the motion.
Seconded by Dr. Wesley, call the question.
Yes.
Mrs. Levy,
Yes.
Mrs. Moran,
Yes.
Mrs. Shapiro,
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Darian,
Yes.
Mrs. Watson.
So now we can call the question on the remaining items that were moved by Mrs. Shapiro and seconded by Dr. Westlake.
Yes.
Yes.
Mrs. Moran,
Yes.
Mrs. Shapiro,
Yes.
Mr. Wolf,
Yes.
Mr. Darian,
Yes.
Mrs. Watson.
Yes, delegate report, Mr. Walsh?
I went to Trenton on Saturday for the legislative meeting, and we have a new chairman, so we talked about what she wants to do for her tenure as chairman of the legislative committee, and that's basically it.
Any votes?
No votes.
Okay. Personnel, Mrs. Walker's not here. Mr. Darian, you want to take that?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to introduce items F1 through F3.
Second by Dr. Westlake. Any questions?
I have a question.
Mrs. Levy?
Where it's left blank or TBD,
The mileage?
yeah.
Just because, just going to double check with the auditor which way to do it.
Oh, okay,
That's all.
that's fine, okay. And then we could just add that in afterwards?
You don't even have to.
Okay.
We're just going to approve the mileage and you can get paid.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, perfect, thank you.
Any other questions? Call the question?
Mr. Griffin?
Yes.
Mrs. Levy?
Yes.
Mrs. Moran?
Yes.
Mrs. Shapiro?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Dr. Westlake? Mr. Daring?
Yes.
Mrs. Watson?
Yes. Policy, Mrs. Levy.
We had a meeting this week, and we are doing some revisions to the policies that were up for a second reading today, so we're going to hold this or table it?
Table it.
Table it, thank you, sorry. So we're going to table, do I have to make a motion to do that?
Do we need a motion to table it? Do we need a motion to table it? Okay, make the motion.
I move that we table G1.
Do I have a second? Second by Dr. Westlake. Any questions? Call the question?
Yes.
Yes.
Mrs. Moran?
Yes.
Mrs. Shapiro?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Dr. Westlake? Mr. Daring?
Yes.
Mrs. Watson?
Yes, Public Relations, Mr. Griffin?
Yes, at our last public relations meeting, we finalized changes to the Board of Ed brochure that we were putting together. We'll be sending that out to the group soon, so you guys can all see it. We also discussed the survey at the end of the year last year that we had added questions to. Dr. Ansel is going to be pulling those results so that we can review them and report back to you guys. And lastly, talked about the coffee with the superintendent that's coming up. And those.
What is that?
I have Friday and Wednesday, but I don't remember
It's
the dates.
next week, but it's buried on our website. I think the
Did you send,
public needs, I
did you
haven't
send
seen
anything out
anything.
from your office? Have you sent anything?
I was going to do that this week.
Yeah, we should do it this week.
Yeah, to give people a heads up, would be great.
Additionally, and I'm sorry I didn't say it originally, but so that's coming up, and then we reviewed the first draft of the next newsletter. The plan is to have that out in early October. Made some adjustments to it to make sure that we're highlighting, for instance, the reports on the test, making sure that that's on there, that we know, that people will know in advance, that stuff's going to end up on the calendar for the school, trying to align all that stuff.
Can I just say that it, October 2nd is the, Wednesday, October 2nd from 5 to 6 is the first coffee with the superintendent, and Friday, October 4th from 8:45 to 9:45. And if you go to the website, it's of Oradell Public School, it's right on the front.
Great.
Are people going to RSVP like last time, so you know who's coming?
There's a link.
It'd be interesting to see, I don't know, 5 o'clock for working parents, I think is tough. I know you're trying to hit the working
So,
parents, but
We
was that
discussed that in our
discussed?
meeting too. The idea was that we don't want any change on this one. Dr. Ansel picked those times that he felt like were good, but throughout the year, he's going to do multiple of these, and he's going to try to pick other times to see if there's other times that are more appropriate.
All right, it'll be interesting to see who comes.
I would say that, I know when we changed the times for back-to-school night that were on the 5 o'clock side, people had mentioned that if they're in the city, the train that they have to take that arrives here in Oradell, there's no, it's outrageous, you have to leave at like 2:30 or something. So any of those parents working in the city, it's really hard.
So I guess we'll see what happens this time. Tri-district, Dr. Westlake? Open to the public? All right, any, yes?
Hi, good to see everyone. I just want to say that I've been trying to make it to these meetings, but a lot of times they overlap with my library board ones, so it's been hard to attend, but I am trying. The other thing I wanted to bring up was there was an issue with the calendar with the 9/11 ceremony. I believe it's already been addressed, but I think the back-to-school night was on the same night as the 9/11 memorial service, so we're hoping that going forward, that none of those would be scheduled on that date specifically.
So, yeah, we're going to be watching that next year, but I will just say that when this was scheduled, it was on our old contract, and our back-to-school night contractually had to be on a Wednesday.
Got it,
So that was
okay.
part of the issue, but that has been resolved in the contract.
Right.
So going forward, we have a little bit more play with the nights, so we'll be watching that.
Okay, good. And then just as a public comment, I just wanted to mention that the SEL program has been wonderful for my second grader. I think it's awesome that you're starting at such a young age because he's already coming home and doing some of the signs that he's learning. And I don't know, you can't measure it, but I feel like by the time he's in sixth grade, it'll be so ingrained into who he is as a person that I'm excited to see how he develops over the next few years.
That's great to hear, thank you. Any old business?
I have some old business.
Go ahead, John Samuel.
No, I'm not going to discuss all those points.
No notebook?
I am only going to discuss one. John used to have a big binder, and he would flip through and discuss and discuss and discuss forever.
It always started with Aflac for some reason.
So I wanted to mention, I don't know if you've noticed, last week, excuse me, not last week, I keep saying that, the last board meeting we had was recorded with new equipment. We have a new camera, and we have a new microphone, and it does a great job. It's like night and day compared to the last prior meeting. And I'm just so happy that, we've upgraded the equipment because it actually makes watching our videos pleasurable instead of cranking up the volume all the way and putting on your headset and trying to listen. And I know we only have 7 subscribers
It's probably all
to
of us.
our YouTube channel, but I'm sure people are getting the videos off the website instead, so,
Is that the real number, is 7?
yeah.
Greg is
It's
probably
actually-
one of them.
It's 8, and I'm 1, so. And I clicked on the bell notification, so
Jeremy's
when
the
this
other one.
posts tomorrow, I'll get
Is the other.
notified. So, yeah, so there's 6.
But I actually am not a subscriber because I get it from the website, but I'm going to subscribe now.
I'm going to make you
Everybody out there should too.
subscribe, hit that bell notification, hit the like button. We're going to start introducing commercials during our videos. That's all. That's
Any
all I
other
have.
old business? I happened to see the banner downstairs. It looked pretty good, I thought. Has Mrs. Walker seen it yet? Was she happy with it? She said she was. It looked pretty good, I thought. Any-
Normally don't speak, as you know,
Yes, go ahead.
but, over the number of years that I've been here, we've had different board secretaries, and some of them left a great deal to be desired. I'd like to comment and compliment our new board secretary and wish that she was going to be coming next year.
Yeah.
But she's going to be flying down to someplace in South Jersey. And I just wanted to, on behalf of our board and the community, thank you very much.
She's going to still be here to help us. Keep saying that. Any new business?
I have a new business. I'm not sure, I was at the PTA meeting last night, and they had announced the possible dates for the Meet the Candidate Night.
Yippee!
I don't know if they checked those dates with us, because they are the week that we are going to Atlantic City for the training, if any of those people are going. So I just thought that I would bring that to the attention, and I also mentioned it to the PTA member that was doing that as well. I don't know if they checked the date with anybody here, so.
All right. Any other new business? We cannot adjourn, sorry. We need a motion to go into closed session for 1 legal issue, 2 personnel. So I need that motion.
So
I
moved.
moved that when...
Mrs. Norian made the motion. You want to second it, Mr. Walsh? Okay, second by Mr. Walsh.
No, that's okay. You beat me to it. That's fine.
All right, let's go downstairs. No, 2 items. We're doing this now.
90.